All right. It's the Renaissance Man Show, y'all. And we finally made it, right? But we have some special moments that are going to happen today, right? This is the 17th episode, y'all. The 17th episode of Renaissance Man. And because you're new here, Poetic, as well as you, Saran, just to give you a brief history, Renaissance Man used to be a magazine, 30, that updates us. No,
30, come on,
15
get it
years
right,
ago. 15 years ago.
You Asian me.
Yeah, that we operated. That was a magazine that focused on three things: educate, support, and inspire men to be their best versions of themselves. Then technology happened and we started to make some changes, and now we're back here as a digital format, still with the same mission to educate, support, and inspire men. That's what our content is all about, okay? And that's the reason why you're here, Poetic, and everyone else on this platform, and everyone else that's in the chat. If you know that's what our purpose is, if you come every week, that's what you're gonna get, okay? So I want to say thank you for you guys to be here. And I'm going to start by saying, to start this episode, we still got our 2 or 3 more episodes of Women's Platform this whole month. So I'll tell you later what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. So you definitely want to stick around because we got some great surprises for you. Today, we're tackling a crucial topic, though, and that affects half the population. It's women's health. And they age the same. They don't age the same as men, I would expect. There are differences, right, in how we age. And that's something we're going to learn today, how as men we can be some supportive to that. Des?
Yes, this is a very important topic. And I want to say something to the women out there. I want women to know, if you don't already know, that the men in your lives care about you. They care about your health and they care about your well-being, whether it's your husband, your partner, significant other, father, son, nephew, whoever. We care about you. We care about your health and your well-being. But we don't always know what to do and how to do, how to support you, how to have those conversations, how to engage you on these important topics. So that's what this show is about tonight. This show is about how do we interact, engage the women's in our lives and help them be healthier and help them be a better version of themselves.
So, whether you're a man eager to learn or a woman wanting to encourage your partner to listen more about your health, this episode is really to unpack and the valuable information and exciting discussions around the topic of women's health. And there's no other month like May that's more important that we should focus on that the entire month, not just Sunday. Let me get into a couple things before we get deep into this. I want to introduce people. The first person I want to introduce, so you guys know who's all in the room, because we also want people to connect with everybody. So now I'm going to need some theme music. Yeah. Ooh. All right. First person I want to introduce. Here we go. Her name is Angie, y'all. She's the head moderator for this program today. And you know what? She's got over almost 12,000 followers, and she's got a network of over 288 people in her network called New Creations. Let's give it a hand for Angie in the chat. Say hi to Angie in the chat, y'all. Yeah.
Yes, Angie.
And you know what? There's also the gentleman on this platform, right? There's a brother here. He's a spin coach. He has a brand called Calypsicize. I said it right. He's a health coach. He's a motivational speaker. He's a TikTok shop affiliate. And he has about 2,003 followers and 7,100 likes. His name is Rodney, y'all. Say hello to Rodney, y'all. He's right there with the red shirt on in the chat, right? And here's another brother. He calls himself the kindness guru, motivational speaker, life coach, bridge builder, restores relationships. His name is Mr. Knight, right there with the blue hat on, y'all. Yeah. And here's a new brother who just joined this platform. 834 followers, 12,000 likes. He's a fitness trainer and a life coach. And first time on this platform, y'all say hello to Saran Lawrence in the chat, y'all. All right. And last but not least, y'all, our special guest here today. 12,000 followers, 90K likes. She's the COO of 2 medical clinics, and she has 30 plus years in the nursing industry, y'all. She's a true Renaissance woman who spends her free time in the arts and crafts, and she's a TikTok guru helping people with their health with no copay required on TikTok, y'all. Let's give it up for Poetic RN. Come on. All right. So that's our stuff right there, y'all. Let's get this show started. Mr. Wilder, let's go.
Yes. Thank you all for being here tonight. Let's get into this. How are you doing today, Miss Poetic?
I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us here. Thank you for sharing your time and your blessings with us.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am really happy to be here.
Great. So we just wanted to, Mr. James and I may know a little about your background and your experience, but our audience, we call the audience, our family may not know. So if you don't mind, could you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, I have been a nurse for 30 years. I became a nurse when I was 26 years old, and I have worked in probably every aspect of medicine that you can think of. But for the last 20 years, I have been COO of a endocrine clinic, and then I just recently became COO of a kidney clinic, and I'm hoping to pass that over once she gets her business up and going. So I'm just assisting right now till she gets her own team. But the reason I came to TikTok basically during COVID was just to get an outlet. But I used to actually volunteer in my community trying to help people with health issues. I even learned a foreign language to try to reach the Burmese community.
Wow.
And it didn't seem like people were coming out. And so where are the most people? Most people are on social media. So that is when I decided to join social media and discuss health.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a beautiful thing. And the funny thing about it, and I guess it's not so funny, is that nurses, doctors, of course, and nurses, technicians are the unsung heroes. You're the guys who are doing the work, part of the first responders and front line. And more importantly, you're doing the things that many don't want to do. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
So that brings me to my next question is what drives your passion for helping people in this way?
Seeing people get better, I actually started my health program that I do every Saturday a year ago. It was a year ago, April 20th. And one of the people that I was working with on the back end, he would say, you ought to bring this information to other people. He's diabetic, didn't really know he was a diabetic, was having neuropathy, had multiple symptoms, blood pressure issues. And I was helping him get better. And he said, a lot of people can use this information and you need to get it out there. So why don't you do a live show every Saturday and give this information to other people? And I'm like, who's going to listen to me? Nobody's going to listen to me. I think at the time I only had 2,000 followers. And he said, they will listen. He said, trust me, they will listen. So I have social anxiety. So Boss Man in the comments is like my co-host. He's always there on the platform with me. He protects me. He keeps the show clean. He keeps the comments clean. And so I have Boss Man with me all the time. And I have not been live one day without Boss Man. And I just started going live and people just started coming. And then all of a sudden people were reaching out to me, help with blood pressure, help with stop drinking, help with endometriosis, women issues. I just had a influx of inbox mail and the DMs and emails. I had to create an email because I had so many people contacting me. And it drives me when people come back and say, you know what, I feel better. You know what, I was able to ask the right questions when I went to the doctor. You know what, because of you, because you've shared your story, because I've shared some personal things about me, some of my flaws. Like I have a speech impediment, I have anxiety. People are able to open up and talk about it because I'm the picture of what not normal looks like. But I'm on here telling people, hey, it's okay to not be normal.
That's a wonderful thing. It's said, if you build it, they will come. For sure. And that's the case in your case and many. And we want to also thank Boss Man for the support. Many may not know this, but that is one of the underpinning values of TikTok is you got to have a support system. This is why we have the educate, support, and inspire. You have to have a support system around you that helps build you and helps spread the word on no matter what you're doing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and that's how, I found you, because I was just scrolling, and then I didn't know how many people in your room, but you were talking about some things that at the time had my interest, and then I popped in, and all of a sudden there was like 300 and something people in there, and I'm like, then I stuck around and I'm seeing the types of people that were in there and the types of questions they were answering. I'm like, she's in here really giving everybody the real game. The stuff that you were sharing are things that you would share only through someone coming in and scheduling an appointment with a doctor. You know what I'm saying? And often when I go to a doctor, I always feel like they're in a rush to go to the next person. But people having your undivided time, it was just amazing, and that's why I had to connect with you.
Get another doctor. I just want to give a rule of engagement. So, Miss Poetic, I'm going to ask you some questions so you can answer these questions and provide information for what I like to call the family. And then at some point, we're going to open up where the family can ask questions as well.
And before you do that, just so you know, you guys, we're not taking any other people up in the box yet until we get to a certain point after the gentleman, because it's really about the gentleman here to learn how to treat the women in their lives better first. So if women want to come up, we're definitely going to leave plenty of time for that, but we're going to do that like on the second half. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So I want to say this. So we got to be real about this. We're talking about healthcare, but we're talking about healthcare of people of color. Let me start with the men. Men do not take care of their health the way they should. If you don't know that, you got to be real with yourself. We have high levels of blood pressure, diabetes, heart attacks, you name it. There's a lot of health issues, and those health issues are preventable. A lot of them can be prevented if you regularly go to the doctor and have a checkup, especially for those ailments that can kill us all. Go and get checked early so you can have early detection if that should be the case. And I'm speaking to the men. But now that I got on the men, truth be told, if everyone don't know, Black women, it's even worse. They even have a higher level of hypertension, higher level of blood pressure, high level of heart attacks and strokes. So their health and them being the center of our lives, oftentimes the center of the family, is utmost important of us all for the family. I want to just say that and throw that out there for those who may not know. But speaking to you, Miss Poetic, what are some of the common causes and some of the common health issues that women faces today?
So with women, a lot of women, okay, first I want to tell you guys a really quick story. Women sometimes will know their spouse, and a man will sometimes know his wife, and they'll know something is wrong, but they overlook it. So last week I had a gentleman, 29-year-old man. He was officer. He told the story on the platform, so I'm not telling his business that he didn't put out. He was in pursuit of a criminal. He fell, hurt his foot. He's told his wife about it. He babied it along. His wife said, you got to go to the doctor. You got to go to the doctor. Because he listened to his wife, he actually is alive. Found out he had synovial sarcoma, which is a rare cancer, and he had to have his foot amputated. But if he had not listened to his wife, that could have spread through other parts of his body. So sometimes the person that we sleep next to every day will notice something before we do, but they won't say anything. A lot of women bring their spouses, their husbands to the office because they notice things, but a lot of times we're silent. And so heart disease is affecting our community, end-stage renal disease, hypertension. The diabetes is just unreal because
Yes.
of the processed food, the lifestyle. I'm always on my truckers about the way they eat, the low testosterone. Sitting on your scrotum all day, if you have a sit-down job, your testosterone is declining. And
Right.
so men will complain of low libido, but they won't complain of the other symptoms, the fatigue, the tiredness, the weight around the belly. And we literally have to tell men, if you lose an inch around your belly, you gain a centimeter on your penis because of all the fat down there.
What?
But
Hold up. Say
yes,
that again,
it's
please.
true. But people don't know little things like that. But because of the lack of education and the fear of going to the doctor has plagued our community so bad that they suffer in silence. So many young men are having heart attacks, getting diabetes and end-stage renal disease before 40. I met a guy
Right.
a couple weeks ago, I think he was 42, 43, had to have a pacemaker. When I started medicine 30 years ago, you didn't see that. You only saw it in elderly people. You didn't see it in young people. Now
Right.
we're seeing these issues in younger people.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Especially,
Just to,
go ahead.
to go back and follow up on something you said, losing inches around the waist.
No, I
Mhm.
thought
And
you was gonna say penis, man.
I know what you got. I know what you thinking. I know where your mind is.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
I'm focused. Losing inches around the waist, which is, as you mentioned, an issue,
Yes.
and the causes of that. What are some of the ways that men can do that?
To lose the weight around the middle, diet and exercise is the first thing. You have to make sure that you're having a balanced diet. It's not McDonald's. It doesn't include a bunch of fast food, chips, and greasy things like that. There are so many ways that we can cook now to eat healthier.
Right.
And it is expensive. It is expensive to eat healthy. However, health is wealth. So the money that we think we're saving by grabbing something quick, we're actually taking away years from our life, because if the fat is around the middle, what else is there? Your organs are there, your liver is there, your pancreas, all of your important organs are around this area. So if you're not protecting this area, yourself open for other issues. So you have to actually take care of your health and actually have to make sure that you're getting the exercise that you need, make sure that you are moving around, make sure that you are doing this as a family. If you ever
Right.
think about eating dinner, a lot of times the family will eat different times, they'll eat different places. Come back to eating dinner as a family, a cooked meal
Right.
together.
Right. That's great advice. Thank you for that. Wonderful advice. And that actually corresponds with conversation that we had in our previous episode and on one of our roundtables. What I was talking about communication in a relationship. And in that regards, we're talking about communication in an actual relationship, man and woman. But communication in a relationship can be anybody, any family member. People have a hard time communicating with one another. And that's often become the problem, the impediment, and the rift in relationships is their lack of effective communication.
Yeah.
That being said, health and the issue of health is no different. How can a man effectively bring up the conversation and engage the women in their life to talk about health and their health issues?
Yeah, and before you answer that, and I'm glad you're going to do that. Both, like, we can understand each other very well, because I wanted to ask that same question. But to add on to that, how can men also, because we all have different relationships, different women in our life. Some women in our lives they're very proactive. Other than your annual checkups,
Right.
they'll go if something's wrong. They feel something wrong. Some women, based on culture and differences, they prefer to only go to the doctor unless they really are in pain. So you might see them suffer more before they actually go. I just want to add that, just for the different complexities of that.
That is true. And since this is a more mature audience, I'm going to put it this way. Usually, women, and say you have children, you're married, you focus on the husband, the children, you focus on the family. As we get older, the children leave. It's just you and your mate. So, who are you
Right.
focusing on? And sometimes women feel like they lose value, but actually, you're losing hormones. And when you're losing hormones, it causes you to be moody, have irritability, night sweats, hot flashes, mood swings. You can't sleep, you have insomnia, vaginal dryness. There are so many symptoms that come along with your hormones declining in your body that you don't even understand what's going on with your body. And your husband may say, I've had husbands actually call the office and say, my wife is a total B. I'm like, okay, what is she doing? What's going on with her? And he'll explain to me what's going on with the wife, but then they're not communicating with each other. And she's not telling him, hey, look, this is what's happening to me. It's not that she doesn't want to be intimate. Maybe her libido is low, but maybe her hormones are declining. And maybe she is afraid to have sex with her husband because her libido, her moisture isn't there. So there are a number of reasons. And the husband may have the same issues, have trouble keeping an erection. He may have trouble getting an erection. So these are issues that a lot of people, and I hate to say it, it used to be between 50 and 70. Now we're seeing it between 40 and 50. We're seeing it in younger and younger people because of the stress that we deal with in everyday lives. So the communication is so important. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, wow, that's crazy. Just for a second here, just brief commercial. We're at 10:32. It's been about, I'm not good at math. That's 20 minutes, right? Yeah. In any case, Angie, any comments in the chat just based on what is heard? And also, I want to thank everyone for doing your job. Tapping, I appreciate it, and being very interactive. Make sure you follow everybody on the panel, especially our special host. She has great lives. And make sure you connect with everybody inside the chat. We're at 16K right now. So let's try to get to about 20. Anything interesting in the chat, Angie?
Yes. Okay, so let me find Gwen's let me see what she said on here.
I see, let's see.
I'm going way back.
We have healthcare is too expensive. So I don't know if that's a comment based on the fact that people don't go to the hospital.
Well, that's very true. But how expensive is your life? How valuable is your life?
Exactly.
So I'm not sure. We got to elaborate on that. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean.
I do say that people say that all the time. They'll say it's too expensive to go to the doctor. Medications are too expensive. And I work in Western medicine, but I don't always promote Western medicine. I promote more natural. Take supplements, take things to make you healthy so that you don't have to spend all these visits at the doctor. It is expensive sometimes. However, it's worth it. My health is going to keep me living longer. My health is going to keep me more active. If I'm healthy mentally and physically, I am going to be able to do more in life versus not being healthy, not spending that $100-200 a year on my health, and I'm spending it on Starbucks instead, and then I end up with heart disease. Which one was more important? You have to think about your health is an investment. And if you think about it as an investment, as you invest in your home and in your car, invest in your body, invest in yourself. If you do this, you can live a long, happy life. But people don't always put that concept together. It's the last thing they do is focus on their health. And if my parents were baby boomers and they didn't always go to the doctor, they didn't believe in doctors, they didn't believe in mental health doctors. My mom recently had her blood pressure was dropping, heart rate dropping to 40, down to 30. She didn't want to go to the hospital. We had to force her to go to the hospital. Then the doctor says, you need a pacemaker. She's only 78, 78, 79. He says she needed a pacemaker. And my mom's, I don't know. So she's called my two sisters that are in finance to see if they agree that this needs to be done, though she has 3 daughters in health. But she didn't ask those 3 daughters.
That was
it's just that mentality.
Yes. Yes. That was actually intentional because that goes back to our communication. People avoid conversation or speak to certain people to hear what they want to hear. People often don't want to hear what they need to hear.
Yeah, in the chat, I'm seeing some comments and a question. I like what D Jazzy says. She says, "Let food be thy medicine. Diet and exercise is our penicillin." I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that.
Penicillin.
Okay. In any case,
antibiotics.
There's a couple questions from some women in the chat.
Before we get to the questions, before we do that, I just don't want to lose where we're at because I need to go back for a second.
Okay.
Do something that Miss Poet had said because she brought up sex. She brought up sex and marriage and sex in marriage and how it affects men and women. And so what is the best way because you said you had clients who call you and they speak about these things, regardless of what side of it is on. What is the best way that a couples can speak honestly about this? As you get older, the reality is, yes, your body changed, things change, but one might be embarrassed to talk to their partner about it. They might feel self-conscious or whatever. What is the best way to have these type of conversations, necessary conversations?
It is very necessary. And a lot of times the wife will say, because women, as they age, their sex drive increases and men decrease. And the reason men decrease is because the testosterone levels are very low. And sometimes they can't keep an erection or they have pre-ejaculation. So these conversations need to be had in your bedroom. You need to have these conversations with each other. You think about 20, 30 years ago when you got married, you had all the freaky sex. You still can do that. We have patients in their 80s still having sex and having great sex. But sometimes you need things to help you along, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. They have vaginal creams for women. They have men. If you do deep squats, helps increase the libido and it increases the testosterone level. Also, vitamin D, taking a vitamin D supplement actually increases your libido. People don't know that. Taking a probiotic actually improves your gut health. The reason I focus on the gut health is because you have the big belly. Like I said, you lose inches as you gain the weight around that fat area. So what is happening, that fat is protruding. The penis is still the same size. However, the fat is protruding and that fat is actually making it appear smaller and it's still there. So losing that belly fat, taking a probiotic, taking vitamin D, taking healthy supplements, going to the gym, eating healthy, these all actually will contribute to your sex life. And if you're married 30 years, you can still have great sex.
Wow. Des, let's take a couple questions from the men in the chat at this for a quick little break here.
Okay.
Any one of you have a question ready based on what you've heard thus far?
I'm going to tell you about my gentleman, Doc. He is one of my mods. Doc had high blood pressure, increased cholesterol, pre-diabetic. I work with Doc and put Doc on a Core 4. It's the supplements. It's Omega, which is for heart health. It actually helps with the plaque. It helps decrease the bad cholesterol, increase the good cholesterol. He was no longer had cholesterol issues. Cholesterol was excellent. Then he takes the probiotic for gut health. Then he takes the vitamin D, and he also takes Mitocharge. Mitocharge is a supplement that people take, and it actually gives you energy. If you drink alcohol, it replaces those B vitamins.
Wow.
Hair has grown so much from taking the Core 4. That's why he keeps putting that there. He is no longer on blood pressure meds. His cholesterol is excellent. Blood pressure, everything is excellent. And I have been working with Doc probably for almost a year now.
Wow.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's great.
D'Angelo, hold off for a second, because Miss Poetic, she's on the roll here. I hope people.
I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about medicine.
Don't be sorry. You're on the roll. And I hope people have a pen and a pad and taking notes, because this is very important information, especially about the men's health. We talk about the women, but men as well. Just to go back to something you were saying about men's health, also something that kind of was omitted was it is huge situation for men of color that have as they get older, enlarged prostate.
Yes.
Is that preventable, controllable, and if not, what can be done?
It is preventable. And actually, last week I had a gentleman, only 38, officer, also told his story on our platform, and he said he had prostate cancer. But prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to cure. Many people don't die from prostate cancer, but people are afraid to go to the doctor because the first thing a man will say, I'm not having a man put his finger in my rectum. They do blood tests. You can do a blood test now. If your PSA is elevated, then they go from there. But it's not what it used to be 30 years ago. There's this misconception of medicine, and medicine has come so far. You don't have to go through the pain that you went through years ago. It has advanced. They will do a blood test and check your PSA levels. If your PSA levels are elevated, which is how this officer found out because he had elevated PSA levels, just doing lab work. A lot of people don't do lab work. A lot of people can't tell you what their cholesterol is. People interact with sex, and if you have interactions with a new partner, I would say get access to the My Chart. You want to know, is this person going to have a heart attack in the middle of performing sex?
You said get access to their My Chart?
Yes, share your my chart. I am a strong believer in sharing my chart because the
Wow.
thing is, it will not only tell you if this person has diseases, it'll tell you if this person is going to have a heart attack in the middle of having intercourse. If you have a person that has an extremely high cholesterol, 1,000, do I want to be intimate with this person and he's on top of me and he's 200 pounds and he
Right.
has a heart attack? How am I going to get him off of me?
Right.
People think I'm extreme and I'm not extreme.
No, not at
These
all.
things have seriously happened in our community, and that's the only reason I speak on them.
Okay.
Thank you
So,
for that. Go ahead,
all right.
Mrs. Jane.
That, so you asked that on a date before? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm assuming
I have
your
not dated
situation.
in 13 years. I
Okay.
seriously, I have not. Doc is always trying to
You're
tell me,
assuming
Lisa,
you're
you
being
need to find somebody, but
presumptuous, Mr. Jane.
I
Okay.
am just focused on medicine. I have elderly parents. My dad's 88 with serious health problems. My mom's almost 80. And
Wow.
then my son's grandmother, I take care of her. She doesn't have any living children. And so she is 82. So my hands are full.
I
Yep.
hear that.
I know
hear that.
But if
exactly.
I
I know.
dated, yes, I would
Okay.
want to see my chart and I would share my chart with you.
Okay. So look, because with the chat is buzzing. There's things to answer there, but we gotta divert to the men on the panel first, because it's about the men learning here. And the women got tons of questions in there. We're going to get there. I'm watching them, and I'm not forgetting anything. And Angie, you keep watching too, and we'll bring some people up. Now, Mr. Knight, do you have a question? Any response to anything you heard? You got to unmute yourself. Still, okay. Still got to unmute yourself. There you go. There you go.
I really wanted to focus, as I'm hearing, on the psychological ramifications or effect from the physical things that we're talking about so much of, because that's where my head is. It's like when you talk about or these exercising and so forth, my mind goes to, well, why aren't they doing it? And what is the cause and effect behind it emotionally and mentally? And I'll give you an example, and you can take with this and comment on it. We mentioned before about people's deficiencies and the fact that they should do the right thing, but they don't. And what I thought about that was, take health insurance. You were talking about health insurance and people saying, it's too costly or whatever. But you can say, hey, what's your life worth? I want you to think about the fact that there's still 60 plus % of individuals who drive a car without insurance.
Yes, tonight, but do you have a specific question?
I'm referring to the comments that you guys made about people not getting the right coverage and following up and being adamant about that. And my point was, between health insurance and like having a will and just things that are really important that we don't do.
And we spoke to that. We know that there's a disparity, and people often say that. But what we were saying was that's the wrong state of mind, and that you have to find a way, however you need to do it. Go to a local clinic, but you need to be vigilant as it relates to your health. But right now, we got a lot of questions that we are trying to get to Miss Poetic, so we can get as much information as that we can get. So we just really want to throw specific questions at her and keep it moving.
Ms. Poetic, the question is basically, because it was skated over because there's so much valuable things that you were talking about and so much that you're passionate about. Right. We identified the fact that people don't do it, but I think it was worth digressing to say, what can they do? Because the frame of mind is real. There's so many things I should do for the sake of my health, my family, my future, and so forth, that they don't do because of this mentality. It's not worth it. I'm living for today. So how do you break that barrier? Because it's not something to be taken light. It's something that's really real.
That's actually a great question, Mr. Knight.
It is. So the first thing I would do is, it takes 21 days to change a behavior. So the first thing I would do is I would write down, what do I need to change? Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to increase my exercise? Do I need labs done? You can actually order your own labs online in many states. And by ordering your own labs, a CBC, a lipid panel, a fasting lipid panel and doing a basic metabolic panel will tell you your liver function, your kidney function. It will tell you your cholesterol. So you'll know whether you have heart disease, because a lot of people have extremely high cholesterol. If you ate like my grandparents ate, you have high cholesterol, and they fried everything. Everything was pork. So just doing those 3 steps to start off with, that would actually help. So once you do those 3 steps, and those labs would be cheap, they're not expensive. You're spending less than $100 just on those labs. So the first thing is you have to know what your numbers are. And do an A1C. A lot of people are diabetics and they don't know they're diabetics. If you drink alcohol every day, you're probably a diabetic. If you do fast food every day, you're probably a diabetic. So those numbers are important. Once you have those numbers, it takes 21 days to change a behavior. So start changing your behavior over those 21 days. Okay, if I have high cholesterol, what do I need to cut out of my diet? You can even, I'm not a big fan of Google, but you can go on Mayo Clinic, you can go National Institution of Health and find what you can eat that's healthy. If you're a diabetic, they will give you information on a healthy diabetic diet. They'll give you information on lowering cholesterol diet. These are free websites out there. So I would use those websites. But the first thing you'll have to do is get those numbers. And if you are a person that is not active, takes 21 days of change of behavior. Start slowly, start walking 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. By the end of that 7th day, you've got up to 30 minutes a day. You can do that over 21 days. And just walking alone 30 minutes a day lowers your cholesterol, lowers your blood sugar, lowers your blood pressure.
Yeah, I think
Fantastic.
that's a great response. And the 21-day plan, and where Mr. Knight was leading to, where in your response to that, I also envisioned, if you have a partner, your partner supporting you and doing those things with you to encourage the right activity. Let's go to another gentleman. And
Just quickly, let's follow up on the great information that she provided. I just want to be specific for our family. Ms. Poetic, you're saying that without going to a doctor, you can order your own?
In some states, yes. In some states, you can go to Quest and there's certain labs and they'll
Quest,
tell you,
right.
they will tell you on there, we'll give you the results, but we're not diagnosing you. So they'll tell you that on there, and that's in various states. But it blows my mind how couples will plan for a house, plan for a wedding, plan for prom, but they don't plan out their health care.
That's true. That's right.
So let's go to another gentleman. You guys know the play. I just want to say, and I think it's good because the chat is buzzing. And I know I told you we got an hour and a half. We're already at 40 minutes left. I want to make sure that everyone knows we're going to get to you. Just get through with the gentleman first, and we're going to get into the chats as well. Ron or Rodney, you want to go next? And as Wilder said, with this very specific question, if you have one. If you don't, that's okay. Okay.
Copy that. Let me ask a good question, because a lot of people struggle with this, especially a lot of my prospects, starting their workout journey, starting their health journey. They've been so engaged with being in a community of interest of people hanging out, if it's going clubbing or traveling. A lot of times we do our thing, especially going to reunions and barbecues. So that consistent behavior, when people say, I need to start working out, I need to start eating right, the biggest thing I've learned, and I just want to get your perspective on it, is how do you get people to start, and how do you keep people to stay consistent? And the last thing I want to simply say is the fact that a lot of times most folks, they won't start until it's enforced. And then at that point, it's too late.
Right.
That is true. And so what I tell people is, first, sit down with your partner, sit down with your husband or your wife and say, hey, look, let's make a goal. You know how people make vision boards? Make a goal vision board and make it easy on yourself. Do not go cold turkey with something. Don't totally cut out all the sugar. Don't totally cut out all the salt. Decrease it. I always say decrease. Soda pop is one thing. Soda is so bad for you. So what you can do, and this, I actually did this myself, so I'm not telling anybody anything that I didn't have to do myself. I have lupus, I have asthma, I had so many health issues, thyroid issues, hormonal, because I had a complete hysterectomy. I had to go through all these steps myself, so I know it can be done. And it was not easy. I was 215 pounds. I went to the hospital, couldn't breathe, chest pain. They said, hey, you need to lose weight. That's just the bottom line. I had to lose like 65 pounds. It was not easy, but I had to start somewhere. So sit with your mate, talk to your spouse, or even as a family and say, hey, okay, this is what we need to do. If you drink too much soda pop, you do 3/4 soda pop, 1/4 water. Then you go half soda pop, half water. Never go cold turkey because then you'll be miserable and unhappy and you'll be disappointed if you fail. So if you gradually work your way into it, even exercise, that's why I always say start with 5 minutes, then go up to 10 minutes. By the time the end of the week, you're at 30 minutes, but start somewhere. I would start and say, okay, today is May 8th. So I'm going to start on May 10th. I'm going to have my last hoo-wah on Friday night and I'm going to start May 10th. But I'm going to start slow. I'm going to cut down from 6 pops down to 5. I'm going to cut down from 5 pieces of bacon to 4. Just gradually do it. And if you gradually do it, you'll be more successful and it'll last longer. But first, have the conversation and write it out.
Right.
Yeah, ginger ale is my problem. I love ginger ale.
I do too.
And I switched
So do
to
I.
ginger ale because I don't like the caffeine, because I had suffered from similar things, social anxiety and things like that, which I've overcame. But I stopped the caffeine type stuff and I switched to ginger ale, and that's like my go-to soda.
Yeah, a lot of the ginger ale is caffeine free too. So it say.
But you're still
Right.
saying no to ginger ale.
It's soda. I'm guilty of it too. I still drink it sometime too. My sister bought me a 12 pack and I think I drank all of them in 2 days. So I'm guilty of it too because it's one of my weaknesses. The problem with it is it sucks the phosphorus out of your bones. And with women, when they lose hormones, the phosphorus is out of their bones and they end up with osteoporosis. So that's why you have to be careful with soda pop.
Okay.
But I'm guilty of everything I'm telling you guys, I have been through and I have dealt with myself.
Okay.
But are you saying that it has a more adverse effect on women than it does on men?
Yes, because of our bone structure and the way that we're built up, and then we lose estrogen and progesterone as well as testosterone as we age. So when we're losing all those hormones, it puts us at increased risk for heart disease, for stroke, and for osteoporosis. So people think they don't need hormones, or they had a hysterectomy or had their ovaries removed due to endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome or something. And I know a lot of men know if their wife has had these procedures, and so their wife goes through a change. And a lot of times men want their wives to lose weight. So don't say you, say we. Let's us do this together. Us both get healthy so we can retire. A lot of people retire and they die. So let's
Yes.
retire and travel. Let's retire and do this. But in order to do
Retire
that,
and
we have
live.
to get
That's
healthy.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's just there's new people just popped in the room, and I just want to say hello. You've joined our podcast 17. We're having a Mother's Day month, and we have Poetic RN who's here schooling the men and women on how we can better support women with their health. Feel free to put comments in the chat. Make sure you friend everybody. These are all high engagers on this platform as well. And thank you for joining us to learn. We got one more gentleman here, Rodney, with the question, and then we will start taking questions in the chat because I want to stay on time. We only got like about 35 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short.
Okay.
I love what you're saying. I don't drink. I supplemented soda for. I use Saratoga Spring, the sparkling water, and that makes me like wow, and I like that because it gives me that bubbly stuff. When I was married, my ex-wife and she was overweight, and I'm a gym. If you see me, I'm a gym instructor. When I got married, I was 150 pounds. And I was trying to get her to lose weight, and I was like, "Oh, let's do this, work it out." And one night I came home, I was trying to get her work, and she didn't want to do it, and we nearly ended up in an argument. So at that point, I just said, "You know what? I'm just going to leave you alone. You're going to do your stuff. I'm going to do my stuff." So how do you reach the female where they are when they're resistant? They want to do it, but their mind is not there. How do you reach them to get them in that position where they realize that they need to lose the weight, but yet they're still not at that point where they can say, "Hey, let's do this," and do it consistently?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and that question actually can go both ways. It can be you're trying to encourage your wife, but your wife trying to encourage you.
Yes.
True. And another thing
Absolutely.
before I go, what I realized, because I'm an instructor, the majority of my class, Calypso size, 99.9% of the class are females. There's this gentleman that used to come with his wife, but he said, "Now I gotta go upstairs and I gotta lift." And he stopped coming. But what we men don't realize is that we need to add the cardio. Lifting weights
Right.
is one thing, but if we don't add the cardio, we are putting ourselves at risk. Even in the spin room, when I'm teaching spin, 80% of the spinners are females. We have a couple of men that come and they spin and they do a good job, but you will more so find women doing cardio than men. And it's the men that actually needs the cardio more so than the females.
I agree. I agree. And with women, they're 99% because there's, in our mind, we have to be a certain weight. We have to look a certain way. We have to be made up. We have to have our hair and nails done, blah, blah, blah. So women feel like they fall into this standard in order to get their man or keep their man. Whereas men, we take you fat. We like, hey, it's just more to love. So it's weird, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be, hey, we both need to be healthy. We both need to do this for ourselves. And
Right.
sometimes it's a mental thing. Sometimes it's depression that actually causes people. You gain a lot of weight. I'm going to be honest with you. I was so depressed when I was 215 pounds. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want anybody to see me. So I had in my mind, I'm fat. I'm just going to stay home. So it was a mental thing that was messing with my head. It was during COVID. Nobody's going to see me anyways. And everybody gained weight during COVID. So it's now, you have to get out of that mindset. If we need to talk to somebody and see a therapist, it's okay. They're just going to give you the tools that you need to actually move forward, to get out of the funk that you're in, to actually get healthy.